Well, there are some potentially massive problems brewing in Pennsylvania as we head towards the election. This is a Senate race that people should definitely keep their eye on. Arizona's a big one, Georgia, but Pennsylvania, man, they got some problems. So let's dig into this. You got Fetterman's debate disaster showing how far media will go to keep the Democrats in power. They like to keep their people insulated. So it was already expected to be a difficult debate. The Fetterman last week, it was worse than anybody could have imagined. We guys got to give him props for getting up on the stage, unlike Katie Hobbs there in Arizona, who is running away. So the highly anticipated debate they had between Fetterman and Dr. Oz can be summarized by the catchphrase of Janice from the hitcom Friends, "Oh my God." So what was already expected to be a difficult performance for Fetterman, who suffered a stroke earlier this year, turned out to be cataclysmically worse than anyone could have ever imagined. And that's despite having closed captioning assisting him in comprehending the questions from the moderator. The Senate candidate was still unable to string together a coherent, thoughtful response throughout the entire debate. Roll clip.
You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I do support fracking.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
The fracking thing was bad enough, but then he was asked about releasing his medical records. I mean, it's obviously, you're senator. It's a very powerful position. There's only 100 of them, and it's a 6-year term. You've got to be somewhat medically fit. Are you there just be a rubber stamp for Joe Biden's policies? It's what it seems to appear that way. Is he thinking for himself?
But you have not released your detailed medical records surrounding your stroke. Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have, speeches in front of 3,000 people in Montgomery County, all across Pennsylvania, big crowds. I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate. And now with 2 weeks before the election, I have run a campaign, and I've been very transparent about being very open about the fact we're in use captioning. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served.
Follow up, I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No. Again, my Dr. L believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
There are many clips, but we will leave those out. You guys have probably already seen them anyway, but the point that the author is making is, while the health problems are sad, what's truly appalling is the lengths to which America's corrupt corporate media have gone in covering them up. He's clearly not fit to serve in the public office. And over the course of the election cycle, legacy media have gone from pretending Fetterman never had any health issues, like, oh, big deal, he had a stroke, no one cares, but now they're just attacking anybody who raised concerns about his health, to now pretending that Fetterman's debate performance was the greatest thing ever. I mean, they actually had like a Philadelphia Inquirer. They said that he did a better job in the debate than Dr. Oz, which was totally ridiculous. Even if you don't like Oz, you got to be at least intellectually honest, but they are void of that. They're not real journalists. They're propagandists who do their talking points and will say anything to appease their bosses. But it's not just Fetterman, it's obviously President Joe Biden, who continues to have problem after problem. We know he's got mental health issues, and nobody seems to want to address them on the left. And I don't know how they insulate their followers to prevent them from seeing these obvious issues. So the leftists masquerading as journalists couldn't care less if Democrat political figures are physically or mentally capable of representing their constituents and serving the needs of Americans. All they care about is maintaining government power, the political party, and of course getting paid for their job. And if they were to say, you know what, Joe Biden's got some health issues, they'd probably be out of work. Here's another article. Fetterman was always healthy and Biden is fit as a fiddle. The media gaslighting continues through the midterms. But to be fair, there actually was one NBC reporter who was actually trying to be honest and be a real journalist, saying that she had spoken to Fetterman, interviewed him, and saying it wasn't clear he understood what I was saying. But then, of course, she came under attack to keep her in line. And this is from Kara Swisher of the New York Times, who rebuffed it, saying that she had spoken to John for over an hour without stop or any aids, and this is just nonsense. So this is the way that the corporate media keeps the control. And here is the tweet from Kara Swisher, who called out the NBC News' Dasha Burns, who was doing real journalism. But people were quick to call her out on Twitter, saying that wasn't true. Saying, uh-oh, Kara, from Pete Diabroska. And Kara said, oh, come on, well, he has auditory processing issues. Good Lord. Then Pete said, well, he cannot form a coherent sentence. The race is over. Nice try with your propaganda, though. Which Kara said, oh, nice guy you are. Hope you never suffer from a stroke. For now, you're just an asshole. To which Ian Miles Chung said, he might be an asshole, but he ain't wrong, Kara. Fetterman is completely out of it, and no amount of pretending is going to make him better. Which Kara is going to continually dig herself into a hole. Oh, so you're a doctor? You had a stroke? I did not think so. I have had one, and this is exactly how I sounded then. You're pretty cruel to use sensory issues against someone, but that is the modern GOP. Well, Kara, you said it yourself, that you said he had no issues. He clearly did, and we saw him all on the debate stage. So just be honest with what we all saw. Stop gaslighting us. And Representative Lauren Boebert said Democrats are panicking about the Oz-Fetterman debate and saying they regret letting it happen. Think about it for a second. They wish they had kept his condition a secret. They wish they could have deceived voters. And this is how they operate. He's just there to be a rubber stamp for the Democrats, and that's it. And if they could do it all over again, they would not have had the debate, and they wouldn't show any of the problems that he has because they just want you to vote for him and not think beyond that. And here is yet another one of the hundreds of examples of Joe Biden having problems, gets lost, can't find his way off stage again, and the fake news continues to ignore this. And coincidentally, when he got lost on stage again, it was while he was campaigning for John Fetterman. Of course, they ignored this like they do every other time. Well, so what do you do when you have a weak candidate like Fetterman? Would they be willing to cheat to get their man to win? Which brings me to this story from a couple weeks ago. Republicans sue Pennsylvania officials who said that they'll accept mail-in ballots without dates. Because that's after the top election officials said that mail-in ballots without dates will be accepted in contravention of state law. So, I mean, it's illegal to vote after November 8th. But if there's no date on the ballot, I guess it still counts, or at least they want it to count, but now they're getting sued for it. And now the National Republican Congressional Committee also joined into the lawsuit. Here's the quote: as the Pennsylvania legislature and U.S. Supreme Court have made clear, undated mail-in ballots should not be counted. And Republicans are holding Pennsylvania Democrats accountable for their brazen defiance of the Supreme Court and the rules duly set by the legislature. Pennsylvania Democrats have a history of election integrity failures, and Pennsylvanians deserve better. This lawsuit is the latest step in Republican efforts to promote free, fair, and transparent elections. And then we have this bombshell story that came out about Pennsylvania Democrat officials mailing out over 240,000 ballots to unverified voters. Now, Deputy Secretary Jonathan Marks testified in September before the Pennsylvania House that counties are responsible to verify the voter ID when a completed ballot arrived to the county. The counties argued that this was nonsense. The ID must be verified before a ballot is even sent out. Well, you should just have to show up on election day with an ID, but the Democrats don't want something transparent and easy. They want to find every loophole imaginable that they could take advantage of. And now, according to Pennsylvania law, these ballots must now be set aside. They cannot be counted in the November 8th election until the voter produces an identification. You can bet very few of these counties will actually set these aside. This is how Democrats cheat. And there was an update from Verity Vote confirming with the Gateway Pundit that the total is now 255,000 unverified votes. And this is the official letter that they sent out. Well, there you have it. So some major problems going on in Pennsylvania right now as we are heading towards this historic election of 2022, the midterms. The Democrats have put a terrible candidate up for Senate, and in desperation, they might try to cheat to win, or they've got to explain how all of these ballots got sent out. So all eyes on PA, and expect more bombshell developments coming up as we see this, and in the days to follow as well. So don't be surprised if they stop counting and find more ballots the days after and they're not marked and they don't want anybody to investigate. So we'll see what happens, but that's all I've got for now. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.